Hello. Welcome. I am Cadaver. Um, I wanted to make a video regarding some, I guess you could say, more basic to moderately advanced parts of the game. Um, I've been playing for 20 years, so I have quite a bit of muscle memory when it comes to playing games in general. Specifically like keyboard and mouse games or World of Warcraft. I've run into people every new expansion that may be new or returning gamers and they are not familiar with certain functions or aspects of the game. So, just a quick how to guide on certain things like movements, targeting, and then like a little bit deeper into actually playing the game and leveling, exploring. Um, Things that lead to you getting a lot better than maybe you have been. Um, and Should you have any questions or comments or concerns, please feel free to send it into the comments below, or you can message me in game. I actually kind of love answering questions about this game, and I'm usually able to. Like a lot of people that play, it can be pretty easy to find yourself quite obsessed with it for some reason. Just happens to hit those ticks. So I did also put the overlay for the mouse and the keyboard so you can kind of see what goes into my gameplay. I'm not 100% accurate on the best methods per se, but everyone has their own flair, their own techniques, capabilities, etc., so forth. Um, but basically, I want to just kind of get into like what the game tells you maybe you should do, and then what players more than likely do instead. I did do the recent new player experience where you log in and you're on a fresh account. It's all like a little bit of a tutorial, but then they don't really get into that bit where they're expressly telling you that it's a tutorial, because they want you to feel immersed. So it's understanding why they would do something like that. But the they could be a lot more explicit. You know, in my opinion, maybe you should be playing the game like you do any other game, and then kind of feeling it out, and then maybe changing the controls on your own. But there are a lot of options that you're able to modify. Some you're not able to modify until you progress a little bit further into the game. So I'll just get into what you're able to do. First and foremost, they start the game off by telling you or requesting an input on your preference of movement. So that being the way that you like to move the character. Do you want to turn with the keyboard, or do you want to strafe with the keyboard and use the mouse primarily to turn? So you should really never be using the keyboard to turn. I'll tell you straight away that there's a lot of buttons that your class or characters are able to utilize. So you want to have as much real estate as possible on the keyboard. You really need to have like pretty much every button available to play. Like you got to fathom that this is similar to any other game where they have inputs, but there are a lot of different spells that your characters can use. They're not automatically used typically, so they all are individual key presses. So what you're able to do is modify the key press. So you're able to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or you can do Alt 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that will change what the 1 to 5 buttons do. Same thing with Shift and Control. So you can hit Shift, Control, or Alt, and that will modify to allow for many more key bindings, if you will. So if you have 5 buttons, that's really like 20 buttons, because you'd have +5 for each modifier. However, it's also a combat-driven game, so you do want to be able to press these buttons as easily as possible. So I found myself setting myself up so I would kind of like protect myself, I guess you could say, by having a lot of buttons available to me. Meaning, oh, I want to have as few movements as possible. So I was like a ninja. I had like everything bound to Alt 1, Shift 2, Shift Z, Alt E, R. So I even had this random thing, a macro, connected to some keybind for some reason. But anyways, what that ended up becoming was actually more of a bad habit, because now I'm in the middle of combat and my rotational ability is on like Shift 2 or whatever. So I'm having to hit Shift 2, and then I have my PvP like stun removal trinket, which is very beneficial to PvP, almost necessary for most characters. That would have like a shift modifier, thinking I'm smart, and that I'll bind it to Shift spacebar, so it's really easy to press, but also it's not something that is commonly pressed. But well, guess what? I'm pressing Shift 2 for my rotational ability, and then I hit spacebar to jump by accident, and then I'd use my essential ability when I'm not supposed to, thus leading to losses. So it's important to be as like liberal with these buttons as possible, but also being aware of where you're putting them, and then also being mindful of the movement ability. So typically people move with W, A, S, and D. So I like to auto walk with Alt W. So this has never ever been an issue for me. I'm no longer pressing any buttons and my character's walking. So it's just modifying the already movement key, which is W, and just giving it an extra button to make it so that I'm able to walk forward. So you're able to make these changes. You just hit options, escape, options, go into keybinds, and then that would be in movement keys. So be able to modify all these capabilities in the game, just like any other game. Typically they have the ability to bind buttons. Maybe they have pre-configured ones, but this one you're able to take full control. So do that, and then now you have Q and E available, which were previously I do recall that they put the turning abilities on Q and E, right? So that would be in lieu of putting them on A and D. So you had that option when you first join. You change it from either A and D to turn your character, or Q and E to turn your character. So turning, you're really going to want to use your mouse. So I'll give you a few examples why. First and foremost, you can use the mouse to walk for you. So this is my preferred way of walking in combat. I'm not really going to be pressing W. Some people really, actually, believe it or not, rebind W and S, and they no longer have these movement ability buttons on their keyboard any longer, and they have them for abilities because, again, not a lot of real estate. So that is one reason why. And then also you're able to move very, very rapidly with the mouse, meaning like if you were to just keyboard turn, your movement would be something like this, where it's very slow. I don't even have it bound, so but I do know it's very slow, and it is also moving your camera at that rate. So it's not efficient at all. If you're a tanking character, or you're leading the group or something, and you're ahead of everybody and people are behind you, you're not able to really see what's going on back there unless you turn your camera. So you're gonna have to use your mouse no matter what. So I would get out of any sort of habit where maybe other games you use your arrow keys, or you are turning with the keyboard, because it is going to just really choke you up in your movement. It's really, really slow, really hinders your character's, I guess you want to say, capabilities. So that another reason that you would use your mouse to turn is you can instantly turn 180 degrees in case you need to. So like let's say you're being chased by something or whatever, and you just need that extra time to heal up, and you are able to create that gap, create that distance, use any movement abilities that you might have, and then oh wow, all of a sudden I have the fortitude to swap back to you. Now you would hold the left and right mouse buttons midair. So you would jump and flip very easily. Jump, flip. So you turn in the camera, jump, flip, jump, left, right. So that's great combat ability that is not listed in the game. It's not written anywhere. There's no tutorial for it. but it is very commonly used, especially when you're being kited or you're kiting something. So I like to use that, like if I'm being kited by a ranged character. I'm a melee character on the paladin here. Generally melee. They do have a lot of ranged abilities, but you're being kited, and you no longer want to really be chasing them around. Like let's say your healer is like over here, and like they're just trying to run around this corner here to try and bait you away from your healer. So instead of doing that, I would really like flop back, walk around, and like you really want to be strafing or manipulating your character in a forward motion this entire time. You would not want to be moving backwards. You would not want to be like slowing yourself down. You want to keep their pace, and you don't want to lose line of sight of your team. So it's a couple that now puts them in the same position that they were trying to put you in. So they're there and you're here. Doesn't matter where their healer is or what they're doing. If they're protecting themselves and you're protecting yourself, you're in the same position that they are in. So that is giving you the upper hand because they are trying to do something. They are putting themselves in a box, and that generally leads to be in your favor. Especially it gives your team the ability to remain at a comfortable distance. But you wouldn't really be able to do that if you are like using your keyboard to turn the character. It would just be an uphill battle. So let me just illustrate that because it is helpful. See, I can't even fathom. I don't know which way you would go. Just having to you'd have to use that S key there, like to really box it out properly. It just is very jarring. You lose, in my opinion, also you lose just the ability to be aware of your surroundings. Because people they're very predictable to a degree, but they could do anything. If you're playing a team-based game, you want to see what your team is doing. You don't want to be staring at this map, kind of hoping that they're still like where they were. You want to be able to visualize them. So it is very helpful to turn specifically with the mouse. Like I said, a lot of people don't even have strafe bound or W or S bound. They may I've seen people, they very much so just use the double click method to move around and commence combat in this regard. I do find that maybe kiting would be a little challenging because the strafe buttons, you do walk as fast as you do when you walk straight. So if you are kiting, it's incredibly helpful to do this strafe because now I'm facing this direction, right? So if I'm facing this direction, someone is over here, I'm running away from them, I'm now able to hit them with my abilities. For example, let me just get this guy over here. So I taunt him. Wow, he's fast, so I want to run away, and I can attack him very easily. So that is because I am strafing and not going straight forward. So if I'm going straight forward like this and I'm just turning the camera, I would not be able to attack in that same exact method. So let's do the same thing, walking away, and I turn the camera, not able to attack. So, okay, meleeed him, doesn't count. Not what I was trying to illustrate. But anyways, especially if you're a spellcaster, it'd be completely pointless to melee them. You definitely don't want to. You'd be proccing parries and stuff like that against the melee, and then they would be getting certain things available to them, like re-swings or it has deeper combat mechanics that you're not gonna have to worry about too much of that. So this is purely just to help you get out of certain starting areas or progress further into eventually become capable of doing like end game content, because that's when the game really starts. So if you find that maybe it's lacking certain characteristics of an MMORPG, that's because you haven't gotten there if you're not max level. So and I've even seen max level players be completely helpless because they just don't have, maybe they have friends that boosted them up and they just don't have the fortitude or the capabilities or the dexterity to really manipulate their character using keyboard and mouse, or they maybe have issues like visualizing their screen is not set up properly. So I find that like just being able to move the camera and having that I guess, relationship with the game and your character is really, really helpful. So another thing too that I hadn't even considered, but there is settings in here that lead to, so right in the controls, you can change the mouse look speed. So certain games, I was always changing the sensitivity of my joysticks, which, you know, it's a good way to look at it. The mouse is pretty much just like a joystick, because that's what you're using to turn like the camera. You're trying to look around, and the WASD is like your D-pad. So that's how you're moving the character, and then the joystick's how you're aiming essentially. You always have to be aiming towards the enemy. So, you know, if you're going to have a really rapid speed, that may be too fast for you, or maybe it doesn't really react well with your setup. You know, this is kind of aggressive of a move speed. So I wouldn't personally do that. It should be fine where it is default around 5.5. But if you find that you're not able to turn the camera fast enough, maybe your mouse is really low DPI and that's just how you like to move the mouse, then changing that setting can help. Or the opposite, you know, if your mouse is really high DPI, you know, and you're like used to just shooting the mouse across the screen, and you're really good at aiming it, then maybe you need to lower that setting. But like, play around with it. So you just open that options menu, it's in controls, and it's all the way down in the mouse section. Along with that, you can change the camera following style. So I am able to turn the camera and let the mouse, let the camera stay in that direction. So when you start the game, you do have that option disabled, I guess you could call it. This option is enabled instead, where it is when you're moving, it is going to snap the camera back to go forward. So this way, you're always looking in the direction that your character is looking, which is very helpful for combat, because again, you do have to be facing them, generally speaking, because there are spells that you can cast, like crowd control spells, you do not have to be facing them. But generally, for melee and ranged attacks, you have to be facing the enemy, forward to enemy. So I personally do not like that setting. I like to have complete agency over what's going on with the game. So I disable that, and I'm able to look around freely, stop clicking, and I might get kind of annoying at first with having to then eventually face the proper direction, but you can fix that with just double clicking left and right mouse, and you will be facing the exact direction that the camera's facing. So very, very easy to get good habits, and also easy to get bad habits, you know. As far as like quests and stuff like that, that is another thing where it's not super obvious what you're supposed to do in this game. It does take a little bit of know-how, and research does help, but I like the old try or die method. If I'm going to try, I'm going to try until I figure it out, or if I get completely stumped, I'll then eventually look for help. It does take longer to complete quests that way, but it is the most entertaining for me. But at the very least, they do give you a lot of tools to handle that they did not give you. So my map is huge right now, just because I just want to make it easier to see for this. It's very important that you are aware of what is going on up there. So if you are starting off, you're just doing quests, maybe you just joined you're in the first area, you know, you're not sure where to go. It's going to tell you where to go no matter what. Some of the content in this game may be a little outdated on how it reacts with the interface. Like, I just did the Paladin, Legion, Paladin class hall quest chain for the mount and everything, and that was a challenge, because a lot of the quests do not line up with what is actually printed on the map. That I don't know if it was maybe something on my end was having an issue, but I was struggling to find some areas. So just be cognizant that you could possibly have to find outside help a lot more than you think. And there's really nothing wrong with that. You know, it's always good to ask questions. It's always good to find out. You don't have to reinvent anything. You know, it's a very big game. Like, this is not this is not like, you know, Mario, where you got like 25 paintings you jump into the paintings, you kill the mushrooms, and you kill you jump on the turtle, and you win. You know, this is like there's like a 1,500 turtles per zone, and there's like 1,000 zones. It's crazy. It is a massive multiplayer online game. This game, in my opinion, invented that term. There may have been other MMORPGs prior to this, and I'm sure games like EQ, I have not played them, I'm sure they have a very similar feel, where it's almost like never ending. But is a there is an edge of the world of Warcraft. You know, there's no real infinite route that you can take. But some people, it's so big, they level passively. They'll walk around or they'll fly around. They'll discover the areas. That gives you experience points, and people level up like that. Like I don't remember exactly. Maybe Earthen, they're able to gain like double the experience points for just traveling, and it is a valid method of leveling. You can get to the max level just by traveling around. Not that that's recommended for everyone's playstyle, but it is completely possible. So that or flying around and picking up flowers or ore. Those are valid methods of leveling to max level. Not going to be beneficial for your gear by the time you get there, but you'll have a ton of ore and gold to buy some. So, there's a lot of creativity that can go into this. You can take a very streamlined route. You can follow a guide. You can do whatever you want. But when it comes to the expansion that is coming out, if you are already max level, you're going to have to follow pretty much the main course of the game to unlock all the capabilities of the characters, and then also be as competitive as you possibly can, and also level usually the fastest when it first comes out. After the expansion is out for a few weeks or months, it usually gets a little bit easier to utilize other methods. Depending on how they do it, you should have experience buffs for each max level character that you get, so it becomes more viable to do other methods or routes. But generally, questing or dungeons are going to be the fastest way to level. The way that you stick to a trail is it's always going to be like breadcrumbs on a map. So this is Warlords of Draenor, not a recent expansion, not the oldest expansion. Shift J opens the Traveler's Journey log guide and everything, and I like to go here just to kind of see what the history of something is, or if I need to find a name of something. It shows the expansions in order. So, classic or vanilla, Burning Crusade, Wrath of Lich King. So this is like the fifth, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the fifth expansion, and we're at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 expansions total. So in the fifth expansion, I actually found that a lot of the questing was significantly more streamlined than like Legion, for example. And Legion is the predecessor. So BFA is another really good one. A lot of consolidated quests in BFA. Same with Shadowlands. That is probably going to be your easiest leveling, besides Dragonflight. Dragonflight is just a ton of experience really fast. There's like tons of quests, and you really get the ball rolling quickly. But yeah, I'm gonna come here just grab some quests so I can maybe do like a breadcrumb or two, just show you what I'm talking about. So you zone in, you grab like a quest. So these are just gonna give me assaults for an area, and yeah, I guess I don't have like a crazy amount available because I did complete most of this area already. But grab the quests, and I do have an add-on. What you look for is, after you've taken up some quests, is you look on the map and you look for any sort of indicator on where that may be leading towards. So I guess the ones I picked up here, this is the assault, and find the missing artificer. So very easy to find. Those areas are always going to be lit up with maybe not so much the big blue circle. Oh, got it. Add-on error. But will definitely be associated with some sort of button with the 3 dots, or a quest complete will look like a question mark and then an exclamation point for a new quest. So if you're doing a certain route that maybe is lighter on the quests depending on the expansion, then it will There will always be one available on your map somewhere. You just got to go out and find it. So you might see like other indicators on my map. So these green dots, they're put there by way I just got an error for it. What is it? TomTom. So TomTom is exactly what the name implies. It is a copy of the GPS that they sell, I think, at Costco. Welcome to Costco. We love you. So, anyways, what this does is it gives you an actual super helpful arrow from that is similar to the one that they put on the map, and it attaches it and puts a 3D arrow on your screen. So if I need to find something, it will automatically populate if I have it set up for that. So you just go into your TomTom folder. Actually, may have just failed, so I might have to reload my UI. But pull up the waypoint arrow. Quest objectives, I like to have it enable automatically. So yeah, it's not pulling up. So if there is like an issue, even Blizzard's UI, sometimes you have to /reload, which just reloads the UI. It does take a second, so be mindful of that. So this is that arrow that I was discussing, and it is you can really download this add-on and then just grab a bunch of quests, follow this arrow, and you'll be max level eventually. You go to wherever it needs you to go. Me personally, again, not huge on reading. I do take a glimpse occasionally on the list on like maybe what is needed, but it's not the effort that it takes. It has nothing to do with that. It's just a matter of efficiency. I think I just flew right over it, ironically. I was just kind of talking. But as far as like, if there's like 4 or 5 quests in this area, you're gonna be interacting with all the things that are around here. You know, you're not gonna just be killing this one guy. But this, I only have one quest, so there's one circle, and this is the guy I mouse over. It says I need his hoof, so he's my target. Kill him, loot him, and then I have the quest item in hand, and then I'm able to go look for the return button, which is behind me now. So see, I think I got this quest earlier over there, but I'm returning it instead in this village over here. So just hop on over and turn this quest in. You just walk up to the guy. I'll just show you so it doesn't automatically complete the quest. I hold shift to avoid that. Right click, continue complete. A lot of times they'll give you a follower B. So I don't meet the requirements. Yeah, so what's going on here? Let's see. Continue. Okay, so I'm choosing a reward. I choose this one. Great. So that's done. I don't know why I was bugging out, but it wasn't completing the quest for me. So that's completed. There was no follow-up. It appears that that was the final quest in that line. I'm going to get another one. So I'm flying to the exclamation point, and if that's not showing up on your map, you just gotta go into the map filter and turn quest objectives on. You really just have like all these on, so that way you have all the information available. Doesn't make sense to have something available to you that could help you and have it turned off. So grab a quest here. I don't know why I'm getting these errors, but I was already in this area for this quest, so it didn't give me the arrow. So let's go ahead, and it looks like I have to carry these crystals. Don't see any crystals. See, this is a good one where this is a tertiary pylon. Where is the pylon? Sink the crystalline emitters into. Okay, so had you not read this one, you'd been running around with a chicken, like your chicken, with its head cut off. I think I have to like walk over here with it at primary pylon. So pretty easy to really just figure out what's going on without having to read too much. I saw him running over here. I figured I'm gonna have to follow him, because usually what's happening if they're running immediately after you get a quest from them. This one very specifically just led to me walking over here, grabbing these crystals, and then firing up these pylons. So we got these 3 crystals now. Fire up the last pylon, and homie's gonna be satisfied, and he's going to pay up on the G, even change his whole position. So now this, yeah. So now I guess I finished that. That was just a simple kill quest, which is like a 75% of the quests. I talked back to this crystal. It did not give me a follow-up once again. So don't know I guess maybe. Yeah, no. So nothing really happened. The like RP is occurring currently, so that does happen frequently. So don't just jet off. If you do not get a follow quest, it is important to check to see if there is an alternative or a different quest line opens up or whatever. So now this is available for me, the Expert Council. So I'm going to just follow the arrow, see where it takes me. It looks like, yeah, it looks like my TomTom failed again. Except that updated or something. I don't know. Not a big deal. If I reloaded it, it would pop up again. I just followed the one on the map after I selected it, so that just made it simple. It's Blizzard functionality, so you're not cheating by having that map guidance. It's just separating it from here, and it also gives you more agency by allowing you to create, utilize the pins that you're creating on the map a little bit better. So it shows you exactly where you might want to go if you select that spot. So complete the quest. Doesn't matter what gear I get. Quest log's full. So yeah, that's like the best way to start leveling. At least until a certain point, you can spam dungeons if you're a healer or tank class. Those are going to be very fast queues. I would always do the quest for the dungeon at least once. So if you run into a quest for a dungeon in the real world out here, like this area, like the questing area, if you find a dungeon quest, I definitely would hop into a dungeon queue. You hit the letter I, hit dungeon finder, and you can hit specific dungeons. Or if you're not really too worried about the quest, you could just hit a random dungeon. Especially when time locking is out, that is a lot of experience points and very fast. Usually people are trying to just run through it, depending on the group. Also gives you a chance to really just like carry a lot of people, because a lot of people don't maybe know the dungeon so well, or you can learn how to play a lot better and eventually learn how to lead. There's a lot of ways that you're able to take care of that, but the first time you do dungeon, there's always going to be a few quests available for it. So you do those dungeon quests, you finish the dungeon, you usually these days get like a whole level, when maybe not from the 80 to 90 grind, but below that you're usually getting at least a level, maybe even two, depending on the dungeon, the level you are and everything. So lower the level, you usually level really fast. Like 1 through 80 should take like an average player, I'd say at least 10 hours. Like that's an average player. We're talking like a hardcore player, you can get it done in a few hours pretty easily. If you're a very casual gamer, it could take you maybe like a day. That's a really conservative amount of time. I think that's really just sitting back, enjoying the ride, and just checking things out, doing a lot of the quests. But if you're like really hammering away, you're gonna get it done you could get it done in really an afternoon. It's gonna be a long afternoon for most players. My fastest clocked one was just doing like quests and stuff was like 5 hours. And then like instance runs or fastest boost that I've done for myself, I've done it in like 2 hours. That's like really aggressive boost and like being really optimized and everything. So it's not like a normal case at all, but it is definitely possible. So great. If you enjoyed this video or you like to see more or have any questions, like, subscribe, add me. I will put my gamer tag, my BattleNet in the video as well, but it is Sage hashtag 1877. Great year. Don't know what happened, but it's my number. So thanks. Hope this helped. Have a great day.